It's not always easy to be the little sister, especially if you're Nancy Spielberg and the world-renowned American filmmaker Steven Spielberg happens to be your big brother. But that hasn't stopped Nancy from making a name for herself. She herself has produced and written several groundbreaking documentaries and films. And now she's about to come out with her latest masterpiece. It's called Who Will Write Our History? And it's already being labeled the greatest Holocaust story ever told. Take a look.
Somewhere, years ago, there was a mother who knew that her son was the cleverest, the most talented, the most beautiful. And now the brightest and most beautiful child in the world lies in a strange street. And his name isn't even known.
We should have seen the worst coming. But we did not want to know the truth. We did not want to see it.
Does the world know about our suffering?
Emanuel Ringelblum understood that he had a story to tell, and it was the most important story he would ever have to tell.
Almost all the photography that we have was taken by the German propaganda unit.
Will the Germans write our history, or will we write our history?
Let the witness be our writing.
Their goal was to write the history of the war from the Jewish perspective. And there was no time to lose.
The worst scenario was in the process of happening.
Writing becomes the only recourse. That was the ultimate act of defiance.
You don't really need guns to fight. You could fight with paper and pen.
This is what made this collection of documents so absolutely unique.
One thing is clear to all of us. Our devotion and constant terror have not been in vain.
Among those taken away was Rabbi Uberman,
Geli 16,
Israel Lichtenstein,
Leib Golden,
Abraham Levin,
Halina.
Emanuel Ringelblum.
Remember, my name is Nahum Gazivich.
I am writing this as a witness.
All right, Nancy, thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you here. Tell us about this film.
Well, this film, Who Will Write Our History, is originally from the book by Sam Kassow of the same name. And Roberta Grossman, who directed my other film, Above and Beyond, about the Israeli Air Force, told me about it. And she immediately captured my heart with the story. And I know very little about the Holocaust, which is really surprising.
It's very surprising.
Yeah, people think if your brother made Schindler's List, how is it that your parents weren't survivors and that this wasn't ingrained in you?
Right.
But maybe because we grew up in an anti-Semitic community, that when we finally did learn about it, it really hit home. So Roberta telling me about this secret organization in the Warsaw Ghetto that knew they were going to die and dedicated the ends of their lives to writing the history, everything happening in the Warsaw Ghetto.
Well, that's what's so crazy, because it's been 75 years since the burial of this, Onig Shabbat archive. It's a trove of documents that was compiled after the Nazis forced the Warsaw Jews into the infamous Warsaw Ghetto. And the residents wanted to document their side of history, but it is 75 years later. What made you decide to make this film now?
Timing is everything. First of all, the film's been in pre-production and production for several years, and sadly, it's nothing that we hope for, but anti-Semitism is on the rise, and hatred, and all the divided, everybody's so divisive. So this really is the right time to push the message out. And it's also, they're re-releasing Schindler's List because it's 25-year anniversary.
Which I would love to talk about, yeah.
Yeah, and who would have thought that 25 years later, after Schindler's List, which opened the eyes of many who knew nothing about the Holocaust and started an educational program, who knew that we would be in maybe worse shape today than we were 25 years ago with the anti-Semitic
What's so interesting
attacks.
is that Schindler's List was filmed in Poland as well. And you were pregnant at the time with your own daughter, so I think the generational theme here is really interesting. How did that impact kind of your choice to focus on the Jewish and Israeli themes in the films that you make?
100% impacted. My decision of what the stories that I feel connected to. And when my brother started the Shoah oral or visual history, where he took, the people, survivors, telling their stories and recording them, all of us realize this is the only way that we can reach out to the future generations. If you don't hear it from the people that lived it, it gets lost in translation.
And I can't imagine what that feeling must have been for you as part of the family to see Schindler's List come out, and now to have a film like this, which is so impactful.
Right, right. And you know, it's funny because it's not that necessarily that I am running the course of Holocaust films. You know, some of my other ones, one was about basketball, one's going to be about an underwater diver, you know, so, but it's my people, and I'm also a part of humanity, and this is a lesson for all of humanity. You know, Jewish and non-Jewish, and that's the hope, is that we take this and we teach it. We teach the
well,
message.
you know, I myself had a really kind of crazy family story. It happened to me last year where they found a necklace in a concentration camp, and it was the necklace of my grandfather's cousin.
Oh my God.
And so I was connected to about 30 family members of mine that I did not know existed. We all flew to Frankfurt and had a family reunion of sorts. So this is something that is still very current, whether or not we believe it to be part of the past. And as Jews, we continue to be affected by this, which clearly you know because of the work that you're doing. And it's very exciting for all of us. I cannot wait to see this movie. My question for you now is, what is going to come next after this? And will you actually end up working together with your brother on a film?
You never know. I mean, if I can afford him, maybe. Maybe it'll turn around. If he can afford me.
You, that's what I was going to say.
So we're just starting pre-production on a film about Roman Vishniak, who's a famous Russian photographer who also went in to Eastern Europe and filmed Jews in the shtetls in the hopes of raising money, but they also became the last living proof of a civilization that was wiped out by the Holocaust. Working with Danny Menken on a film about Amos Nahum, who's an underwater photographer who wants to swim with polar bears because I think he has a death wish, but it's really cool.
You wouldn't do that.
Really cool. On the Map, we're working on a feature film, and Above and Beyond, we're working on the feature film because it's a story that needs to get out there in a bigger way. And they do have
I wish we had more time to discuss this. But
next time.
Next time. Okay. We will be showing your trailers.
Yes.
Nancy, thank you so much for joining us.
Natasha.
And I cannot wait to see your film when it's released. When is the release date?
It's released in festivals now. It'll be released in New York January 18th, LA February 1st, January 27th, global screenings across the world. They can go to my website, playmountproductions.com, and they can find out info.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you.